Clément, hi, how are you? Is everything all right in France?
Yeah, everything all right except except the coronavirus. But yes, it's not so bad. We are not under lockdown. We are just under curfew, so not so bad.
Yeah, I mean it's the same for all of us, but great opportunity to have a tasting, and can't wait to go through your champagne and to hear more about you and this impressive brand that is Pommery. Can you, I think for those who don't know you and don't know how important Pommery is, talk to me a bit about yourself, and then we'll get onto some wines and discuss them as we go in the history.
So I am Clément Pierlot. I am the 10th chef de cave, head winemaker of Champagne, Pommery, and Greno. I am a winemaker and agronomist from Montpellier SupAgro. I started my career in the Comité Champagne in 2002. And in 2004, I entered the VRANKEN-POMMERY group as a vineyard manager. And I am still vineyard manager now. So during the last 16 years, I have been the vineyard manager of the group. And step by step, I entered the tasting panel. In 2010, I started working on new cuvées such as the Demoiselle Tête de Cuvée for Vranken, and in 2013 I started to work with Thierry Gasco on Pommery, and in 2017 I became the 10th chef de cave of Pommery. So yes, it has been a nice adventure. It's still a nice adventure in Pommery. And during this years in Vranken-Pommery, we have driven a lot of different projects, and one of the projects has been the Louis Pommery project, which has started in 2014. The idea was to produce sparkling wines in different countries to express our know-how in different countries. We have started with a project, but didn't go further in Belgium. And after, in 2015, we have started the adventure in the UK and in California at the same time. So now Louis Pommery is produced in 2 countries, in California and in England, with 2 different projects. In California, we are a trader. We are purchasing grapes and making our wines. In the UK, it's a different point of view. We are a wine grower above all, and we have purchased land in 2016. Mm-hmm. So we own 50 hectares in Hampshire, and so the project is to make a sparkling wine from our vineyard in the UK. So it's a different project.
Great. Well, I'm thoroughly pleased that you have, and I think that's let's jump onto the Louis Pommery England then.
Yes. The Louis Pommery, we have started to release Louis Pommery in 2017. So of course, the first bottle are not coming from our vineyard. So the idea was to conduct the project in two steps. The first step was to find the land and to plant, but at the same time we have purchased grapes from different places in the UK, okay. Kent, Sussex, and of course Hampshire. We have a partnership with a winery in Hampshire to use their facilities, and we have used these years from 2015 to the first harvest of our vineyard. So we have done our first harvest in 2020. So it has been 5 years of experience on wines, to test the wines, to explore the potential of the terroir, and to make our first blend. So this wine is a 2016 base, very good year in the UK, and it's the real first blend that is totally achieved, I would say, because to make premium sparkling wines, you need experience, you need to know your terroir, and you need reserve wines. The use of reserve wines is probably not so widespread in the UK at this time, but it's very important in Champagne. So we had to construct or to build our collection of reserve wine. It's a long way. So in 2016 we have the first blend with reserve wines and with the blend we wanted. So it's mainly from Hampshire grapes, because we really like the taste of the wines coming from Hampshire. It's very different, I think. It's very chalky. I think Hampshire, it's really based on chalky terroir, and it's what we like in Champagne too, the chalky terroir, the finesse, the minerality. So that's why we have chosen the Hampshire region. And of course, we had to make a blend which would look like the future blend of Four Vineyard in Pinglestone. So sure. That's why we are going step by step to the blend of Four Vineyard.
Okay.
So Louis Pommery, it's a small adventure for now, because we are releasing 30,000 bottles a year. It's a small production, and step by step with our vineyard we will go to 150, 200,000 bottles, because we have planted 40 hectares from 17 to 20. So it will be an increasing production.
Are you surprised at how well the sparkling wine, and particularly the Louis Pommery, has been received, and the quality that you've achieved?
We were very confident in the potential of the terroir. That's the reason we have invested in land, because we really believe that there is a strong potential. It's not a question of comparison with the Champagne region. It's not. We don't want to make a Champagne. It's expressing the potential of Hampshire with our know-how, but the soil is very close to what we can find in some Champagne regions. Of course, the climate is very different, and it will stay different because it's more oceanic than the Champagne region, which is more continental. So it will be differences in the climate. But we know that the global warming and the climate change will change in the good way the English climate, and it will be drier and drier and warmer and warmer. So we are very confident in the potential of the terroir. It will be tough from some years, because there are still difficult years, but I'm sure we can produce very, very high quality English sparkling wine in Hampshire.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, we have the terroir here. There's the quality. Weather is a little bit more unpredictable, as everybody knows, but that, you know, it's evident we are producing great sparkling wines, and it's great that you have invested and committed to producing a sparkling wine in England. Let's taste the wine. Talk me through this.
So the Louis Pommery England is a blend based on the Chardonnay. The main variety is the Chardonnay. It's 55% of Chardonnay. After comes the Pinot Noir with around 35% of Pinot Noir, and the difference in Meunier. So three varieties, three Champagne varieties, I would say. But the idea is really to have a blend mainly from Chardonnay, because our vineyard is mainly planted in Chardonnay. So that was the main idea in our project. So if you taste the wine, what is very important, I think, on the first nose is you have two very important things. You have the signature of the brand. I think it's the finesse of the nose, something very delicate, and you have also the signature of the Hampshire. It's this very delicate fruit you have in the wine, and you have floral aromas, you have lime aromas, but you have also what I call the black currant aromas. I don't know if it means something to you, but I always find this black currant aromas in wines from Hampshire. Yeah. So it's very interesting. It's really a signature, I think, of our wine here, and I think it's very nice fruit and very interesting fruit.
Definitely. What jumped out to me was also you get I wasn't expecting more of the cooked fruit, because sometimes a lot of these sparkling wines are very punchy with the fresh crispness, particularly on the nose. This was softer. It's really, really nice and smooth.
And you have it's a 16 base, so you have of course 3 years of aging, so you start to have these red aromas, brioche aromas, this complexity, very, very important, I think, for the quality of a sparkling wine.
Absolutely. I mean, it's about adding the layers, and all of that will increase the complexity and therefore the enjoyment of the wine. And it is, as you say, it's very important to have that, particularly within sparkling wine.
Of course.
Very soft mouthfeel, really smooth.
The attack is very, very straight. It's very important, and all the tasting is crescendo. You don't have a hole in the tasting. It's very crescendo all along the tasting. You have a very nice length, which is the signature of Grand Terroir. The length. You have a lot of minerality. I like the texture. The texture of the wine. You have with salinity in the wine, which is, I think, also a signature of the chalky terroir. You have, of course, freshness. You have the tension of the UK. You have acidity, but I think it's very soft, very smooth. And that was our worries with the blend in the UK, to have too much acidity, because of course the wines are very acid. So we really worked on the base wine, on the reserve wines, on the dosage and on the aging to have something very smooth, because I don't believe people like too much the acidity. So I think it's very important to have a harmony and good balance
It is. It's very key to have balance, particularly with the English sparkling wines, because as you mentioned, they do have a very firm, defined, crisp acidity. And it's interesting to hear you say how much you've almost tried to work against that to achieve a better balance within the wine. And it's very evident, because it's the smoothness, and it's not something you can normally pick out too easily, because it's quite a broad word that encompasses so much. But it is very smooth, a lovely mouthfeel, and just soft. That's what I like about it, and I mean that in a very good way. I don't mean it's lacking. It's this delicate sparkling wine, and I imagine that's a much trickier to achieve than one would think.
Excuse me, I didn't.
No, that's okay. So I think to summarize, it's the softness, it's smooth, it's a delicate sparkling wine. And I imagine that it's harder to achieve that when you have the cooler climate and you have such firm acidity.
Yes and not, because it's probably easier to give smoothness to an acid wine, but to have freshness in a wine with a lack of acidity. So I think the acidity is really a strength for the potential of English wine in the future.
Absolutely.
You just have to contain and to manage this acidity. I think we have to do the malolactic. I know some people are blocking the malolactic fermentation in the UK. I think it can be dangerous. So yes, we are doing malolactic fermentation on the wines to have also this creamy taste in the mouth. And yes, you have to work on the reserve wines and to work on the aging to have more roundness in the wine and to manage this acidity, which can be hard some vintage. And I think what is very important is like always and everywhere in the world, it's the ripeness, because when it's picked, it's finished. So you have to be careful on the picking and try to be as ripe as possible, and that's what that was one of the tool of selection of the land. It was the altitude of it's very low in altitude, so of course we are very risky for the frost, but for the ripeness we are south facing, we are under 100 meters of altitude, so we know that it will ripe on this slope, but because it's very important for the quality of the wine. If you harvest at 10.5, 11 degrees potential, it's not the same than at 9. So the quality of the grapes is the most important thing.
Do you leave it quite late in the UK to harvest then?
Do you
leave it quite late to harvest in the year for your grapes within the UK compared to Champagne?
This year, for example, we have harvest in late August in Champagne, and we started end of September in Inglestone. So yes, you have 1 month of difference between Champagne and the UK. I think the Kent region is maybe earlier, and Hampshire is probably the latest region to harvest.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's great that you have. I and many people will be very pleased because we get the experience that you bring from Champagne, and it's a very good sign for English sparkling wine. And you know, it's a beautiful wine. It is. It's so smooth. It's delicate. But there's, again, something we've brought up a lot is the balance that must be achieved within sparkling wines, and it's key. It really is key. It's something I focus on a lot. And it's been achieved absolutely, you know, almost to perfection. It's a beautiful wine. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, we are very, very happy and very proud with Louis Pomer England, because it's a very interesting project, because when you start from scratch, it's you have to do that one time in your life. You start from nothing. It was only barleys and wheats, and you plant vineyard. You are free to do what you want. And so
as you say, for you, the winemaker, it is very exciting to be a part of it from the start, because obviously some of the vines that you'll be working on in Champagne will have been there before you arrived. So
yeah, of course,
absolutely.
It's very interesting, and it's a bit scary at the same time, because you are free to do what you want, but you have to do a good product at the end. But I think we have achieved something interesting for the first year, and it will go better and better with the improving of the reserve wine. So yes, we know now that it will be a premium sparkling wine in the future.
Excellent. I think that's a perfect way to sum up. Should we move on to the Champagne?
Yes.
So remind me.
Excuse me?
So which Champagne would you like to start with? Just remind me.
So the idea today is to show you the Apanage range with two products, the Blanc de Blanc and the Blanc de Noir. So yes, you have Apanage Blanc de Blanc.
Yeah.
So the Apanage range, first of all, some words on Pommery maybe.
Yes, yeah.
So for people who don't know, Pommery has been founded in 1836 by a man called Narcisse Grenot. That's why you have on the bottle, you have, of course, you have Pommery, but you have Grenot here. You see. So in 1836, the founder was Grenot, and it has been joined in 1856 by Mr. Pommery. And unfortunately, Mr. Pommery died 2 years after in 1858. So to be honest, nobody knows Mr. Pommery. That's why we have called the English sparkling wine project Louis Pommery, because it's the real founder of the company. It was a way to pay homage to Mr. Pommery.
Okay.
Because of course everybody knows Madame Pommery is the widow Pommery, because she took the control of the company in 1958. And this time we were selling 20,000 bottles a year. And when she died, we were selling 2 million of bottles. So you can imagine that she made a revolution in champagne. So she was a genius, and she changed a lot of things. She changed the life here in Champagne, and she built the company we know now, because we are still living in the same buildings. We are still making wines in the same spirit. So it's really the widow Pommery, Madame Pommery, who has created the brand. So what was the spirit of Madame Pommery? She has a very precise view of the market, of the trade, and she wanted the product to be adapted to the market, and especially to the English market, because she has made studies in England, so she knew very well the English market, and she knew that the British people wanted drier champagne, because in 19th century there were a lot of sugar in the wines, more than 150 grams per liter. And she wanted to make a new champagne without sugar, nature champagne. So she worked a lot with her first chef de cave on a new project of champagne. And yes, there has been a lot of stages, but one of the stages was to build the estate where we are. I don't know if you have been able to come here in Reims, but I think it's one of the most wonderful estates in Champagne, maybe the most wonderful, because it's incredible. It's 50 hectares of buildings, castle. It's really incredible, and we have 120 choke carries, 18 kilometers of galleries, 30 meters under earth. So yeah, she has created this estate in 1868. So it was at this time it was incredible.
Yeah.
But her purpose was to have place to store the wine, because she knew that to improve the quality of the wine, she had to improve the picking, the harvest, the ripeness, of course, but she had to improve the aging in barrels, because at this time everything was in barrels. So she improved the aging in barrels, so she needed place to put the barrels, and the aging in bottles under earth. So the estate is 18 kilometers, 30 meters under earth. So it's a natural controlled temperature, 10 degrees all the year.
Yeah.
You can store 30 million of bottles here. So you can age as long as you want. So that's the key of the quality of our brand, the key of the signature of our wine, the key of the finesse of the bubbles. And that's why she has been able to remove the sugar of the wine. So in 1874, she was the first to release the first Brut Nature, the first Brut of the history. So when we say that, I think everything now is always made in that spirit, the quality above all and the finesse above all. So all our wines are based on this philosophy.
It's her original. Oh, sorry, go on.
Okay, go on.
So a lot of it's based on her original ideas, her very forward thinking as well, as you say, with the storing the wine underground, I imagine to help with the temperature, consistency, etc. She's really had a lasting impact on Pomeroy.
Yeah, because we are always working in the same building where we have no very modern lines or very modern tanks, and everything is always made in the same buildings. We didn't do anything since the 19th century, so she had a view of the future, a real view of the future.
She certainly did. Well, yes, go to the wine. Yes, let's try this one.
Yeah, so this one is a part of the Apanage range. So we have a strong link with the royalty because of the family of Pommery and the princes of Polignac. So we have a strong link with the royalty. So our iconic cuvée is called Cru Royal. And the color of the label is the blue, the royal blue, the bleu de France. And the Apanage range is a range that has been created in at the end of the 90s. Apanage in French is the privilege of the king. It's basically the gift of the king to the second son. So the first son received the kingdom. So for us, it's the Brut Royal. Yeah. And the second son is receiving the Apanage. So it's not, it has to be a better gift. It's a confidential gift, confidential territory, but with higher potential. So to avoid any trouble with the first one. Apanage is a confidential word, is a selection of, small selection of villages to create a range for the gastronomy. So it's really a range for HoReCa on-trade market. Okay. So we have a Brut, non-vintage, we have a Blanc de Blanc, we have a Blanc de Noir, and we have a Rosé, really dedicated to gastronomy. So this one is the Blanc de Blanc. It has been released in 2017, so it's a very young cuvée. Very recent cuvée. The idea with this cuvée was of course, to make an apanage, gastronomic cuvée, a real Blanc de Blanc, because the Blanc de Blanc is trendy, so we needed to have a freshness on the nose of a Blanc de Blanc. But it was also my first release as chef de cave, so it was a way to affirm our commitment to environment, to link to the terroir, because I was the vineyard manager, I'm still the vineyard manager. So Mr. Vranken, the owner of the company, wanted to affirm a strong link with the terroir and the vineyard. So in this wine, it's really an expression of different terroir linked by the soil and the chalk. So we have different terroirs, the Côte des Blancs, the Montagne de Reims, and the hill of Nogent-l'Abbesse, which are all on chalk, and you can feel the power of the terroir in the wine. And what is important in this Blanc de Blanc is that of course we wanted a fresh nose of Blanc de Blanc, but we didn't want to make a Blanc de Blanc trendy Blanc de Blanc, light and easy. We wanted to make gastronomic Blanc de Blanc, so we worked a lot on the Montagne de Reims terroir to have more structure and more strength in the wine, to have a consistency for food pairing.
Yeah, I was noticing that on the aromas, just how they're a bit more developed. There's more going on there, and compared to the Louis Pommery England, which you need that for food pairing, and I imagine the palate will follow through that. But it is very important to have more texture, to have more depth, to have more body. So yeah, I'm gonna go in.
So you have a lot of complexity on the nose. You have flowers aromas, you have citrus fruits aromas, you have some dry plants aromas like linden. You have this kind of aromas, I think.
It's definitely got a richer mouthfeel, no? As in that there's more complexity going on there. It's a lot smoother. I can see why it's the food pairing wine compared to the previous wine.
Yeah.
It's a lot more robust, and I mean that in a very well balanced, defined champagne. It's like it's all together, which is really important with wine, because sometimes too many things can be out of kink with each other. This is together. It's rounded, beautifully smooth.
What I call the harmony of the wine. I'm more sensitive to the harmony and to the feeling and the texture than to the aromas on the nose, because of course the aromas are important, but I think what is very important for champagne is the global feeling, the emotion when you are tasting it.
Absolutely, it's all about that, and that's what is the most important things within champagne and within wine is, the taste, the mouthfeel, all of it, how it comes together and how you feel after having had the wine. But yeah, it really is interesting doing them back to back like this, because it's that bit smoother, and this is where I think with the English sparkling wine, the Louis Pommery, you have that firm acidity, and I think that's where English sparkling wine is great for sort of food pairings and for various other pairings essentially. This champagne it's just the smoother, it's delicate, it's well-rounded, beautiful mouthfeel. That was the main thing I got from it. But yeah, just the smooth. I love the delicateness.
We always are confusing between acidity and freshness, and I think we are trying to have freshness in the English sparkling wine, but you can feel the acidity, of course. Here you are with the freshness without any feeling of acidity, because it's difficult to enter into the details, but it's what is in this wine is incredible, because it's a very, very great terroir of the Grand Cru of the Côte des Blancs, Grand Cru of the Montagnes de Reims. You have a very nice Chardonnay from Nogent. You have also, I don't know if you know, but we have 25 hectares of vineyard around the castle here, surrounded by walls. It's the Clos Pompadour, so it's the largest clos in Champagne. And we are always taking a part of the Chardonnay from the clos also to make this wine. So it's very, very, very interesting blend, and the reserve wines, of course, are very important. We are usually using a minimum of 30% of reserve wines in Pommery range.
Okay.
In the Apanage range, and particularly in the Blanc de Blanc and the Blanc de Noir, we are more around 15 to 20%, because the idea is to work on very high quality reserve wines. Because the percentage of reserve wine doesn't mean anything, because you can take 50% of reserve wine, but it can be 50% of the wines that are only from the year before. But on the Cru Royal, for example, we are working on 7 different years of reserve wines, and here we can have very old reserve wines. For example, in this wine, we have used a Cramant 95. That has been used for the Cuvée Louise 95. So it's only 1% of the blend, but it makes a difference. It's like spices that you are using.
It's definitely that there is more going on there within the champagne, and it's a very different mouthfeel. It really is. The complexity is different. The texture, that's it. It's the texture that is. As I say, I mean, it's great doing the wines back to back like this. That's the whole point. But yeah, the texture in this wine is so drastically different. You can pick it out.
Yeah, this wine is really a good example of what we call minerality, because minerality it's a very difficult term to explain. It's very different from a tester to another, but I think you can feel in the mouth what I call the minerality, this salinity in the mouth, and you can almost feel the chalk.
Yeah, absolutely. Shall we try the next one?
Yeah. On the blanc de noir?
Yeah.
Of course, the color is different. On the Blanc de Blanc, you had a pale yellow with some green hints. Here you have a more deep gold yellow and maybe some amber hints. It's natural because we're working only on red varieties, so we are making white from red varieties. That's why behind the label we are writing Œil de Perdrix. Your Œil de Perdrix is it's a very particular color on the back label.
Okay, it's on the front too. Yeah.
Yeah, Œil de Perdrix. So it's not really an Œil de Perdrix, but just to say that you can have some very little amber hints or red hints because we are working on very ripe Pinot Noir and Meunier, and as we are using very few sulfites, you can have more color than on other wines. So it's totally natural, and it's I think the color of the Blanc de Noir is a part of the signature of the Blanc de Noir.
So it was much, or it is much softer on the nose as well. It's more of a developed. Texture is the right word, but it's the development of the aromas. It's much smoother, and it's almost along the lines of some like cooked fruit rather than the freshness.
Yeah,
which is great.
So the work on the Panache Blanc de Noir is close to the work on the Blanc de Blanc because the terroir we are using are very close. So on the north face of the Montagne de Reims, you have a very famous Grand Cru, like Verzenay, Verzy, for example. And you have Chardonnay and Pinot Noir in the same villages. And the Blanc de Blanc is mainly from these villages in Chardonnay, and the Blanc de Noir is mainly from these villages in Pinot Noir. So it's the link between the two cuvées. But what we were doing in the Blanc de Blanc is trying to have a structure and strength in intensity in the wine, which is difficult for Blanc de Blanc, and that's why we are looking at for Chardonnay that are looking like Pinot Noir, and on the Blanc de Noir it's maybe the most difficult blend to make because the signature of Pommery is very linked to the Chardonnay, so we don't have Chardonnay in the Blanc de Noir, of course. So we are looking for Pinot Noir and Meunier that are very light, very delicate. So that's really what we try to during the harvest to find the most delicate things to have this kind of Blanc de Noir. It's a very fresh and very delicate Blanc de Noir. It's not a Blanc de Noir for people looking for vinosity, for full-bodied wines. It's really a delicate Blanc de Noir.
It is. I agree completely, and that's the main thing that I'm picking out from it is that it's the finesse within the wine. Again, the balance is key, particularly with champagne and sparkling wine. But particularly with this champagne is the balance, but it's still defined. You know, it's a very in tune within itself. Lovely mouthfeel, great texture. But it's the smoothness, and again, I'm really quite intrigued by how it's more softer cooked fruit. which is great.
Very precise, very sharp in the mouth.
Absolutely, it's really on point, and again, balance is key. And as I said a number of times, it's great doing the champagne back to back like this, because you can pick out these small differences that you wouldn't otherwise.
And you're right. So these cooked fruits, and you have these wild strawberries, very delicate strawberries, mashed strawberries, and I think you have also some nuances of spices like vanilla, and it's a complex wine.
It certainly is. There is a lot more going on there, and it's really interesting, the mouthfeel.
And of course, you have.
Sorry, go on.
You have intensity, of course, in the wine. It's a Blanc de Noir, so of course you have. He has a lot of things to say, but it's not too much. You keep the freshness and the delicacy, which is very important. And I think you can feel this. There is the same texture than in the Blanc de Blanc. You have this minerality and the signature of the brand in the texture or in the mouth. Absolutely,
but it has this slightly almost a fuller mouthfeel. It's I use the word richness, and I don't mean rich, but it's more developed. There's this overarching fullness to the wine, which is just giving a great mouthfeel. It really is.
This one is a 2016 base. Okay. It's a very interesting harvest, very good harvest, and so you see it's a 4 years aging on lees, which is 4 to 5 years, which is great for this kind of wine.
Perfect. Should we try your next?
So this one.
Oh, go on.
Yeah. So just for this one has just been released. In the UK, I think it has been released at the end of 2020. So it's really a new cuvée. Yes.
Excellent.
So the vintage. So in the UK, you are on 2006.
So are we going on to the Grand Cru? Wow.
Yes.
Yep.
So it's a Grand Cru Royal. It's a vintage, so wine from only one harvest.
Is it 2006? Yeah, wow. Yeah. What a treat, thank you.
So the Grand Cru Royal is, it used to be, it's still the prestige cuvée of Pommery. We have since 1979, we have another prestige cuvée, which is really the prestige cuvée of Pommery, the Cuvée Louise, in a shaped bottle. But before 1979, the prestige cuvée of Pommery was the Grand Cru Royal. So the philosophy of this wine was to work on the 7 Grand Cru where Pommery own vineyards. So this wine is made from 7 Grand Cru. It's the same blend since the beginning of the 19th century. So we have a strong history and a rich vinothèque in this on this cuvée. So it's a blend of 50% of Chardonnay, 50% of Pinot Noir. Coming from the Grand Cru of the Côte des Blancs and the Grand Cru of the Montagne de Reims. So of course, it's older. It's more than 12 years on lease, so it's totally different than the other wines. It's coming from very high potential terroir. And it's very important to understand that we are aging at a very low temperature because, as I told you, it's 10 degrees all the year. But the consequence is that the aging is maybe slower than in another cellar. That's why it's a part of the taste of Pommery. The aging is very slow. That's why we are releasing our vintage 2 years, 3 years, 4 years after the other houses, the other brands. We have a slower aging, but maybe a part of the taste, the finesse of the aromas, the finesse of the bubble, it's probably linked to this very slow aging.
It's certainly much smoother on the nose. Just you can immediately tell there's a lot more development there, a lot more texture. It's subtle but well defined, which I appreciate. It's a little bit of a contradiction, but it's how it's coming across.
Of course, it's very complex. You have this toasty aroma, grilled aromas coming. You have dry fruits aromas. You have also citrus fruits aromas, but more maybe candied citrus fruits aromas. We have some spices too.
I think what's really interesting with these champagnes is just how smooth they are. You know, how you've been able to achieve that, the balance, the texture, I want to say richness, but I mean, not that they're rich. It's such a beautiful mouthfeel. It really is so smooth, so subtle, but there's a lot going on there. There's clearly a lot of development within these wines. You can pick out the effort that you've put into it and the aging. It's just smooth, and I love that. I love that, particularly coming off the sparklings.
Yeah, and what is important is when we say the 3 words of Pommery, it's the finesse, the vivacity, the elegance, and the freshness. The freshness, even after 15 years, you have still this freshness in the wine. So the wine is not tired at all. You see, it's very important because the freshness is the quality you need in a champagne, because you don't want to be tired. You don't want your palate to be tired by the wine. You don't want oxidation. So that's really the know-how of the brand to release aged products, old products, but with the same freshness as the young wine, but with the complexity of an extra aged wine.
It's the definition, and it's the development that you have achieved. And as you say, it needs to have that common thread between all of the champagne, which is your identifiable features as Pommery. And that's very evident going through them back to back like this.
There's also some interesting notes of eucalyptus, maybe. Yeah, this interesting notes of the nose.
I love how smooth it is and how all of the wines are. Even the Louis Pommery sparkling at the start, with its crisp, firm acidity, is still smooth. But particularly as we've moved through onto these champagne, just wonderfully smooth, beautiful mouthfeel, lovely texture. But it's the development, and particularly as this wine is slightly older, that has achieved this balancing out, this smoothness. And the result is that just a very easy drinking wine that has a lot going on there. It really does.
And don't forget that all wines are made. Of course, you can have them during the aperitif, because you can see that you can have them,
of course,
all of them during the aperitif. But they are already made for gastronomy and food pairing, and you have a very, if you like to prepare food, you can make a total dinner with champagne, with all our champagnes. And especially this one, the vintage, you can do what you want, even strong sauce. You can really clean your palate, you see, and you can make very, very nice food pairing.
Absolutely, because there's enough there. It's it's a very, I say full-bodied is the wrong word, but it has enough texture, there's enough development within the wine that it will stand up to food pairings. So slightly richer stuff as well. I can totally see that, absolutely. So what's coming next for yourself and Pommery? What are the future plans?
For March and April, it will be very basic. I have to make the blend, and yes, it's a critical time for me, March and April, because I have to finish my blends, and of course in April the vines will grow, and we have a very important challenge this year, because I don't know if you have the information, but we are really committed to environment since a long time, and we have environmental label since 2014. It's sustainable viticulture. And in 2020, we have decided to finish the job, and we are going into organic viticulture. So 2020 will be the second harvest of conversion to organic viticulture. So yes, it will be difficult years, because we have a lot of challenges to face. But I'm very enthusiastic we want to achieve the goal, of course. So organic viticulture is really the next stage for us, and very important stage. And regarding the Louis Pommery England project, of course, the next stage is the building of a winery. So I'm going next week to meet the architect. Yes, I think we'll be with the COVID, and we almost lost 1 year, of course, in this project. But I think we will be ready in 2023 for the harvest 2023. That's the project to be able for the first real harvest, because we have planted in 2017, 2018, 2019. So the first real harvest will be in 2023 with the highest yield, and I think in 2023. So we want to be ready with the winery in 2023. And during this year in England, we have this almost the same project than in Champagne with environment, because there is a new label in the UK for the wine. It's sustainable wines of Great Britain.
Okay.
And we want to have this label on the first semester of 2021. So we have also this challenge in the UK, because we want to be as organic as possible everywhere in the world where we have vineyards. So we are still organic in the south of France. We have started organic production in Champagne, in Portugal. We have vineyard in the Douro Valley, and in the UK we have chosen the sustainable wines of Great Britain as a label. So yes, that's a lot of projects, as you can see.
That is a lot. And as you say, because there's also the vineyard in America, isn't there?
We don't own vineyard in America. We are purchasing grapes, but we have contracts with wine growers, so we can choose the plots and Chardonnay coming from different parts in California. So maybe it's a new project for the future to have a vineyard in California, but for now we are more focused on the English project.
Okay, but as you say, it's about having Pommery organic. That's the ultimate goal.
Yeah, it's. I think it's a very important. We don't want to put organic on the label of Pommery, because I don't think Pommery needs to put that on the label, because. But I think at the level of Pommery, we need to be as an example, and we need us to be as clean as possible. And so I think it's very important to be organic in our vineyards, and to in Champagne we are also purchasing grapes to wine growers, so we are also a world to we have an important role to play in accompanying our wine growers in the sustainable viticulture way.
Oh, of course, and you will have a big impact because of that, because of the brand Pommery and the level of production that you've achieved. So, Clément, thank you. What a treat getting to go through, you know, these wonderful, wonderful wines. So, thank you so much.
Thank you.